All right, everyone. So, welcome back. And first of all, actually, sorry from my end because, I know that for the whole January month, I think I was off. So, it was difficult for me. I don't want to explain you all the things just to make you like feel sad about me. There is nothing like that, and there is nothing also like that. You should feel that you are left out. So I am there with you. So don't worry. And yeah, I believe we will be back on track. So today is the 11th session, and we will have some more sessions. So what I was thinking, I first thought complete the session within, let's say, at least 12 or 13 sessions. But then I realized, okay, so as we are back on track and I am feeling good enough, so why not to share some more insights? So I thought let's keep on going. So that's why I planned some more things to discuss. And yeah, we will go around, let's say, 14, 15, or 16, even 17 also we can go. So that is not the main point, but the main thing is I'm happy actually. So I'm happy to be back on this session with you all. And let me just quickly just check one thing. Okay, so everything is fine. So let's continue. All right. So topic is privileges escalation, gaining root access using sudo, and difference between root and general user. But before starting this topic, before talking about technical things, let's draw some outline actually. So what outline I want to draw today here? Let's talk about the outline. So okay, so let me do one thing for before that. Let me go to our website actually. So right education, this one is our website now. So I believe you all know that this is now on righteducation.in. So this is, if I go to our all courses, and here is our syllabus. So this was our syllabus. All right, so let's draw a picture of these topics, because these topics I believe you all, at least 70% of the topics you all know. But let's draw a diagram and try to understand whatever we have learned till today. All right, so what is the first thing? This is basic idea of OS and then Linux installation. There is nothing like to write about this. Basic Linux command syntax, there is nothing also. But managing packages. From here, we will start drawing whatever we have learned. So if you talk about, let's say, operating system, I told you what is operating system, the collection of softwares. That is called operating system. So if you talk about operating system, we have different operating system. So let's say one of the operating system, just for the, you all know actually, one of the operating system is called Android. Similarly, we have another operating system, let's say Mac OS. Similarly, we have one of the operating system called, let's say, CentOS. So different operating system has their own way of managing the packages. So when I'm saying that managing Linux packages, that means that what are packages? Packages are like softwares. So when you combine the softwares into one file and you ship those files, so in that case we call them as packages. So different actually Linux distribution. So these all are Linux distribution. Android is a Linux distribution, Mac is a Linux distribution, CentOS is another Linux distribution. So in all these operating systems, they have their own different kind of managers. All right, so those are called package managers. So like if you go to Android, the package manager is called, that is known as APK. So what is the full form of APK? Most probably Android package K stands for something. Just we can quickly do a Google search. What is the full form of APK? But similarly for CentOS, this is called .rpm. So Red Hat Package Manager. Why it is Red Hat? I told you, because CentOS is the downstream of RHEL, means Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and Fedora is the upstream of RHEL. That is, Fedora is the community version. CentOS is again the community version, but RHEL cost licensing. Similarly, Mac has their own like package management. I think most probably it is DMZ. something like that also called. So that's the thing here. All right. So this is what is the idea of package management. I believe you all we go very deep dive into RPM, and we understand about YAM. I showed you what are the benefits of using YAM, why we need actually the YAM. One of the concern was to resolve the dependency. So whenever we are installing any of the packages, there was always dependency issues. That's why we are using YAM. And after YAM, we have another more, I can say, good version or little bit advanced of YAM, that is called DNF. So DNF is again like similar like YAM. You have YAM repo list, you have DNF repo list. Everything is exactly same like YAM. Only thing is instead of YAM, you need to write just DNF. Rest of the things are exactly same, but DNF has some, like you can think like little bit extra advantages. So if I talk about the Android, so like in terms of Android, you have a, let's say Android let's say 10 and Android let's say 11. Both are exactly same. It is not like Google is not working on Android 10, Google is not working on, yeah, is working on 11. Google, YouTube, every application is working both the platforms. But it is just like it is little bit advanced, little bit improved from this. So similarly, YAM we have, and after YAM we come to DNF. All right. So this was all about the package management. Now, if you talk about basics of networking and firewall, this is the topic also we went into very deep dive, and we talked about the router, switches, CAGs, switches. We talked about what is actually called routing. So I told you that there is two kind of routing happening. Those are actually called DNAT and SNAT. I told you these things. That SNAT is happening whenever packet is coming, and DNAT is happening whenever packet is going from your system to a destination. Let's say your system is going. So these are the concepts we talked and like we discussed. And I told you one of the term was called bridge. So bridge stands for like when we are using software to define our network, when we are using SDN. So in those terms, rather than we use router switches, these are physical devices. When we use software to create them, we use the term bridge. And these concepts, these switching concepts are known as bridging. So this also we discussed. Then what is the topic? We have remote login and execution and server client model. So I told you that there is one of the, what was server and what was client. So client is here, we have let's say client system, and here we have let's say server system. And they both want to communicate with each other. In between we need the networking. What is server? Server is something that is a continuous running program. Let's say HTTPD. So this is a service that is continuously running on the RAM of this device. It's continuously running and it is serving us. What it is serving? It is serving us the web pages. All right. So similarly, we have lot of different servers. Let's say one of the server I told you called SSHD. So SSHD serving is something. It is serving us cell. So cell is what? The remote cell, or you can say where we run our commands. That is called cell. And clients, we have clients can come. Client can be client. We are not. We human beings are not the clients. Just remember this thing. Client is again another program. I told you each and everything is program. So what is that? Let's say for when we are talking about HTTPD, the client program is Chrome browser, or let's say Edge browser, Firefox browser. When we are talking about SSHD, the client program is called SSH. This is one client program. All right. So that was, we talked about remote login and execution, server client model, and also in this perspective I also show you one of the command called SCP. SCP is secure copy, means you can use SCP so that we can transfer our files from here and there. Like we have CP command, CP for like copying files in local, and SCP is for copying files in remote system. So these are the commands you all know. And then we have understanding processes. This is a topic I will talk in very detail after actually I reserved these two topics for the last, actually understanding processes, performance tuning. Managing storage, Linux file system. So managing, if you talk about just Linux file system, like navigating into file system, it was pretty easy. We have the slash and the slash. We have lot and lot of directories. Let's say one was bin, one was, let's say, root. So there was lot and lot of var. Let's say one was USR. There was a lot of, each and every folder has their own representation. If you want to go very deep into this, you can go, but most of the cases you will see there is no need for this. Like when you are working on Linux, if you talk about just as an OS perspective, these are folders and like we are storing data. But if you want to learn why we have this folder versus what is the use of this folder versus this folder, in that case you have to go deep. What is the use of this versus, let's say, home? Because home is for general users, root is for root user. Why you have var folder? All right. So these are the things you can definitely learn in future. So don't take too much pressure in these things. All right. Next, what we have, I think I talked about the managing storage. Definitely, this is one of the very interesting topic we talked, that is called LVM. So I saw you how to create the, let's say, PV, how to create VG, how to create LV, and how to reduce the LV, how to increase the size of LV, and then how to reduce the size, how to increase the size of PV, how to decrease the size of PV. A lot of things actually we did. All right. So this was a very interesting topic. And then I also told you how to do the formatting. Like what we did, I think XFS, then ext4. These are different format types. So these are the things we discussed. Then what we have, if I go, so Linux file system. Then we were discussing about users and groups in Linux and controlling access to files. So this was the topic where I think I left. So I think I talked about the users. I talked about there are total 3 kinds of users. One was super user, another was general user, and another was system user. I think I also told you that super user has the UID. That UID is called 0. General user has the UID that is, I think, from 1000 to I think 65,000 plus something. And system user is limited to 1 to 999. So this is the thing I also discussed, and I also showed you about these things: super user, general user, system. And then we have controlling access to files. So controlling access to files, like how you can control the access to files. That's what, for that reason I even showed you lot of demos also, like how to do the chmod, like changing the mode of the file, then chown. If I haven't shown you, I will show you again. Chown, changing the owner of the file. Those are the steps. So this is where we are currently. So we actually discussed lot of things. If you talk 10 sessions, so in 10 sessions in combined, we talked lot of things. 10 into 1.5 hour, 15 hours of discussion. But I have some more discussion, like that's why I created even one, what do you call, like chart or sheet, so that I can tell you what are the things we are going to do in the future. So this is the very high level plan. That is, today's session is session 11. We will talk about sudo and root privileges, what kind of privilege we have. And then on session 12, I was thinking of having the session on processes and performance monitoring and tuning. So this is tomorrow's topic will be. And then we will discuss about SC Linux security. This is a very interesting topic. Maybe it will take if we want to go very deep into SC Linux, that we can do. But here I also have the plan to show you that how we can, implement SC Linux into containers also. Because I believe you all went into go through the container sessions in our channel. So that is my plan. But let's see how much time this take. If their time persists, then I will definitely show. Then on the session 14, I have the planning to discuss about shell scripting. And on the 15, we will have Linux on cloud. So we'll go to AWS cloud provision. This is you will feel after these 14 sessions, you will feel this is the, I can say, the lightest session. Most easy session will be this one. You will be so much habituated with all the terms I will show you on the cloud. So you will feel like cloud is nothing for you, like very simple to work on. And also I wrote down some of the dates. So like actually hard for me to find times because like some of my own works and like official works. So a lot of things are happening with me right now. So that's why, that's the scene. So second Feb, today we are having the session. Third Feb, I have the planning to discuss this thing, and on the 8, 9, and 10 February, I am planning to discuss these things. So one more thing that I want to tell you, that these sessions will not take 1.5 hours. So don't worry about that. This will be around 1 hour 15 minutes max, because these are very, I don't want to say these are easy topics, but definitely this, because you have a lot of knowledge actually right now. So if I talk about the user, you know what are general users. So like when I will talk about sudo, you will feel like it's very easy to understand. Similarly, when we will talk about the security or even like performance tuning processes, you will be very much habituated with those things. So that's the thing actually. So let's begin. Let's continue with our session. Whatever I want to discuss today, and very interesting class today. Very, I don't want to say interesting in a sense like there is something new we're going to discuss, but very useful actually, because in I can say in 99% of the cases you will see you have to use the sudo. It is without sudo, very in very rare cases you will see that you have the root privileges. Why? There are a lot and lot of security reasons. But let's talk about this. All right, let's start. So all right. So first topic is called root privileges. Root privileges. Root privileges. So what is root actually? So if you talk about any of the Linux distribution, any, doesn't matter, it will be Windows, it will be Android, it will be Macintosh, doesn't matter. Any Linux distribution, they has one special user, and that special user has one UID. That UID is 0. This is the special UID. And normally what we do in Linux operating system, we call this special user, we give one name to this special user, and that name is known as root. Root is the name. So now it means whenever there will be any user with UID 0, that will have the privileges. What is the meaning of privilege? Privilege means some extra powers. So if tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, let's say ABC person come up and he created one Linux distro. Let's say he gave the name of his distro, let's say ABC Linux. So in that distro, he created one user. The username is called ABC and assigned the UID 0. So then what it will call? It will be ABC will be the root user for that distro. That means we are restricted here. If you understand one thing, if you just understand this thing, very clearly understand. We have one operating system, and here we have 3 different kind of users. One is general, one is system, and one is root. Now what is happening? Root is one user, one specific user having the UID 0. But general user, you have what? How much? 64,000 plus. Now why we have this much general user? Because you will see like 99% of the cases you are always login with general user. Why? Because of the security reasons. In general user, we can limit them. We can put the limitations into our general user, that these are the things this general user can do. There are lot and lot of limitations we can put in general users. But if you talk about root user, we cannot put any limitation to root user. That means, let's say you are in a company and they have one server. Let's say this is one of the server. So let's say this is like, let's say their production server. Production server. So in production server, let's say they have, if someone is given root user access, let's say, so in that case, if root user, you will say, I give me the root user access, I will not do any harm to your production system. But understand one thing, that this is where the actual industry concept come up. Industry concept always say that don't believe anybody. So this is actually concept called least privilege or least access. Least privilege. Like if you talk about any of the security environment, most of the, 100% scenarios, we always say never give anyone the permission, extra permission. Always restrict the permission and give, there is one of the concept called JIT actually, just in time access. So I don't want to go deep into like security domain, but yeah. So this is something like you can think that if let's say one user here, one general user, let's say ABC is one user. So if ABC user need to do something in this production server, give only that power. Rest power just disable. What is the meaning of it? Let's say ABC user can, let's say, run one Python program. ABC user need to run one Python program in this production server. So restrict this user in a way so that this user cannot run any of the Java program. Restrict this user in some way that this user cannot install any other software. Just don't allow this user to do, because this user is meant only to run this Python program. Why? Because of the security reasons. Because maybe if you allow this user to install any software, maybe this user might, there will be high chances that this user might install some of the software. Let's say this user go to Google and search Python, let's say Python 3.6. Just it searched on the Google, it found out one website, it downloaded. Maybe that Python might be one kind of vulnerability. Most of the cases it rarely happens, but yeah, it can happen. Maybe he don't have so much knowledge into all the packages, or let's say he tried to install one package. Let's say, just for example, let's say he tried to install HTTPD. Now HTTPD has, let's say, 10 dependencies. Now what happened, as soon as he installed HTTPD, those 10 dependencies installed, and maybe there might be situation that Python need, let's say, 10 dependencies, and some of the dependencies are conflicting with these dependencies. Maybe there can be this kind of challenges. So in that case, either Python will stop working or HTTPD will stop working because of this conflict. Maybe this here, let's say we have one of the software, let's say abcdefg.rpm. Here also we have abcdefg.rpm, but this version issue can come up. So there are tons of things actually that might happen. So that's why we always say give the least privilege. Don't give the privilege to anyone. And as if you know that root has all the privileges, so this concept you cannot apply to root. So what we can do? In all the servers, you will see this root account is disabled. This is disabled actually, root account. No one can access the root account. It is not like root has one password, you can just go and type root and then give the password. No. Disabled, or better term will be locked. most of the time you will see root account. But there will be lot and lot of scenarios when you will see you need the root access. Let me show you one of the scenarios. So let's say this is one of my system. So here I'm logged in with root. I'm logged in. So here you can see root, and one of the command I show you, su, means switch user. So I'm switching my user account to root. Let's say I switched. So I think it was R. Okay. So I switched it. So it opened the SH shell. Let me do one thing. I can do one more thing also. Yeah. So now let's talk about. All right. So you can see. Now if I run the command, who am I? You will see I am Arminda. So this is the username I'm logged. If I run the ID command, you can see my user ID is 1234. I think this user ID was set up on the previous system, just to change the user ID. All right. Now what I can do, if I run yum repo list, you can see repo list command. But if I do this kind of thing, yum install, let's say one of the software called vsftpd, what it's showing, this command has to be run with super user privileges under the root user on most systems. Why it is showing me this? Even if I talk about, let's say, systemctl start httpd, here if you see authentication required, httpd service, password for administrator. So administrator is who? Our root. Root is the administrator. If I cancel, it is saying failed to start, access denied. So there are lot and lot of scenarios when you will see that your general user don't have the sufficient power. But I told you that you have to work on general user, because that is how the security, we can maintain the security. But we still need some kind of, I can say, like privileges. So we need these root privileges so that we can do some of the things, like installing the software, starting the services, stopping the services. All right. So in that case, what we can do, there is one of the concept, very easy concept, that is called privileges escalation. So privileges escalations mean you are escalating, means you are owning the privileges. All right. Let's say I have one of the user called RMIDY. This user need root access. So I will give this user the root access. It is not like I am saying that change yourself to root. No, I am not changing its UID to 0. If you do this thing, there is no meaning of root. It is not like that. What we are doing, we are saying keep your UID to, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you will go to, let's say, yum command, do one thing. Just for that command on that point of time, just escalate, or let's say just, it is called like hiring, or let's say just renting, just rent my UID, rent root UID, so that your UID becomes 0. And as soon as the UID becomes 0, yum will feel that yum command is run by root user. So in that case, yum will keep on working. So how we can do this thing? How we can do this privileges escalation? So for that, we have one of the concept that is called sudo. So sudo, what is this? This is one command. Sudo is one of the command. And what sudo stands for? It is called su for super user and do for do. So super user do. So behave or act or do the work like a super user. So this is called sudo. Now let's do one operation of sudo. I want to show you one operation of sudo. So let's say if I run yum install vsftpd, it is showing that it needs to be run using super user. I will give sudo here. It is showing that what it's showing. We trust you have received the usual lecture from the local system administrator. It usually boils down to three things. Respect the privacy of others. You are using sudo, means you are hiding your own user. You are using sudo so that you can escalate the privileges of some other user. That user may be root, even we can escalate the power of other users also, other general user also. So respect the privacy of others. Think before you type. Definitely, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, password for Arminda. Here, if you notice, it is not asking me that provide me the password of your root account. No, it is asking that provide the password of your own account, so that I can make sure that yeah, this account owner is there actually in front of the laptop, and this account owner is running the sudo. This account owner is accountable for this. So here if I give my password, what it's showing, Armida is not in the sudo ERS file. This incident will be reported. Why this thing showed here? So what is this sudo ERS file? Here comes the actual concept. Look, understand one thing. What I told you about Linux. So Linux is an operating system, and operating system is nothing but collection of I told you files and folders. Linux. And here if you talk, we have lots of folders. Inside the folders we have files. Alright. So whatever you have as a operating system perspective, that is ultimately there in a file. So that means if I show you one of the file, I showed you this file also. If I quickly open another terminal, that will again open into the root account. So let this thing, okay, so here I think I have file, new tab, or let's say rather than new tab, I can go with file, new window. I'm opening another window. All right. And yeah, so let me scale this window. Let me scale this window, or rather than I scale it, I can do one more thing here. This thing is actually a little bit difficult, so let me zoom in. All right, so now I believe it is pretty visible. So I am on my root user. If I run who am I, you can see you are on the root user. There is one file called hc passwd. I showed you this file. You can see this file will show you all the users, and you can see the root user has the UID 0. I told you this. Similarly, you have a lot of other users, but one user is Arminda, and this user has 1, 2, 3, 4 UID. Similarly, another user is ABC, has the UID 1, 2, 3, 5. So different user has different properties. If you see this file. Similarly, there is another file called cadhc, then shadow. So shadow file is nothing but it is a file which stored all your passwords. Alright, so like root user has this password. So this is actually hashed. So what is hashing? I need to tell you. You can learn definitely, but don't worry about that also. So this is actually hashed in hashed format, and then you have all the these are different numbers they have . So here you can see this is Arminda, and this thing is hashed. All right. So this thing So what I want to tell you, that whatever you have as a Linux operating system, everything is there in a file. So whenever you are putting, let's say you are login with root user, or you are login with this user, why we are able to do that? Simple, because this user entry is there on this file. If you notice one thing quickly, there is one user called ABC that has no, here you can see one symbol. Here it has no password. What is that thing means? Means ABC user has no password. That means from, let's say I am on my general user, and if I want to switch to ABC, I will type ABC. It is asking for the password, but ABC user don't have any password. That means if I can give even any of the password, it will not work. Authentication failed. Authentication failure. So it will definitely not work. Why? Because you don't have any password here. So there is no like checking or anything is happening. But as soon as I run one command here from the root account, this also you need to do from the root account. You cannot do from general account. Let's say one of the command called passwd, and then I'm typing ABC, changing the password for ABC user. Let's say I give one password. Again, it is showing all authentication token updated. What is the meaning of this? This simply means it updated this file. Where is that file? It updated that file, this file. So previous time you see ABC user has no password. Can you see this hashed file here? No, nothing. But I set up the password here. And now if I again read this file, you will see ABC user come up with a password. ABC user has the password. So that's what I want to tell you, that each and every user, whatever you have, user, everything is files and folders. There is nothing beyond that. So you need to understand that whenever you want to gain a sudo power, so you are actually what? You are just escalating the power of root user. But to escalate the power of root user, first understand one thing. Root needs to give you that power. So if root don't give this user the power to escalate the root access privileges, then how this user will do the work? That makes no sense actually. So root haven't gave any power to this user, but this user still using sudo. That's also again one error. So that's why we have one of the file. That file is called, if I do cat in this file, it's called hc sudo ers. So this is one of the file. If you open this file, if you try to read this file, this is a very big file. All right, they have lot and lot of actually things. Actually, if you see this 2 hash, this means actually these are comments. So just read the comments if you want to read. But here, if you see at the last, here you have this line: allow root to run any commands anywhere. So here it is showing that root is a user. All right, and root can run all the commands. All right, actually this thing is all the commands, and these two has different actually meaning. So this thing I believe machine and networking. So you can set up even IP addresses also for remote systems also, from which remote system you can run. So yeah, you can customize a lot of things, but to make things very simple, just very simple, I'm just editing this file. So I showed you the vim command lot of days ago. So vim you all know. So let me open this file with vim. I opened this file, and now I will go to this line. I'm scrolling down. This is the line. All right. So what I can do here, I can write that there is one user called Armita. I want that user will be able to run all the commands. So this is the symbol actually, and give 1 spaces, that will work. So you don't need to give 4 spaces, but just to make the formatting clear, they give 4 spaces. You can give 1 spaces also. So what I did actually, I said that there is one user account called Armita, and I want it to run all the commands with having the power of root. So here you can write actually root. So most probably here or here. Most probably here we write root. So I mean, even if you want to see, I don't know, they have. Okay, so I cannot actually see the documentation I need to see, but here you can see root equals to something, that is you are saying like Armida is a general user, and if it wants to use the sudo to access the root privileges on all the commands, it is allowed. Or otherwise you can write whatever they have written, just to make very simple, that is all means Armida can gain the access of all the users on all the systems and can run all the commands. So now escape, then colon, then WQ. If you type WQ and press enter, it is showing that add this exclamation symbol to override. This is a very secure file actually. So you cannot just randomly edit this file. You have to be 100% sure, and for that it is showing just overwrite. So again press escape, then colon, then WQ, then exclamation. Here if you notice at the bottom, WQ exclamation. Then press enter. So you save this file. I will go here. You see it failed previous time. So let me just again run the same command. I will again run the same command. I am giving the password. Now this time if you see, it is working. It is showing nothing to complete because package is already installed. Or let's say if I want to just remove this thing, let me run the remove just to make sure that everything is working fine. Here, now it can remove this. But let's say I'm pressing N just for the operation about it. Let me do one very interesting thing here. I go to this root account. I will again open this file, ERS file. Here I press I for insert mode, and here rather than I press all command, I am giving cal as a command because like, or not cal, let's say cat command. So cat is a command, but normally in this file you cannot, I think most probably you cannot give cat as a normal command. You need to give /bin/cat because you need to give the full path of the cat command. So that's the thing here. Like if I type which command, so this is the path of the cat command. So let me copy this path, usr bin cat. Okay, so let me, rather than I give, let me make it to usr. So /usr/bin/cat. Okay. Now if I again try to do the same thing here, again if you see what it's showing, user Armida is not allowed to execute /bin as root on localhost local domain. Sorry. That means I want to tell you that what this block stands for. This ending entry stands for your command. So this, it is showing it can run the cat command. If you talk about, let's say ABC user, if I quickly switch to ABC, I set up the password already, so I can switch quickly. ABC user, I switched. If I try to do cat on, let's say HC shadow file, it is showing permission denied. But if I do the same thing with this user, Armida, you can see Armida. If I do same thing with this user, you can see it is showing permission denied. Again, it is showing permission denied. Why? Because whenever you are running cat command, you are running with this user's power. But you mentioned here that this user can run the cat command with the root privileges. It can do that. So let's do that activity. For that, you need to just type, before cat, you need to type sudo. You can read the file. Look, or even let's say not sudo ERS. I think the shadow file maybe. So let me check what command actually I run. Shadow file. Okay, so shadow file. I was running the shadow file. So let me do it on the shadow file also. Doesn't matter because cat will be. I want to just tell you that cat will be now run by shadow. You can see it can read the file. But as soon as I just remove this entry from here, let's say I'm just removing it to nothing. I give nothing here. I removed it. Now if I again go here, if I just clear it, if I run sudo, what is showing? It is showing, okay, sudo urs file has some error because I haven't give anything. So in that case, I need to give, let's say, I'm giving, let's say, just, let's say slash bin slash n. I'm just giving the yum. This time I'm just changing it to yum. As soon as I give it, if I try to read the file, user not allowed to execute bin cat on this thing. So this is the actual concept of privileges escalation. Alright, this is how we normally take the privilege of other users. Similarly, if you want to see one very interesting thing I want to show you here. This is also very interesting. Let's say I have one of the user called ABC, you know. So let's say if I go to SU ABC, I'm switching my user account, I'm giving the password and switched. So this is the home directory of ABC user, you know, /home/ABC. If I create one file here, let's say touch abc.txt. This is one file. You can see ls-ld l long list. You can see ABC is the file name. This is owned by ABC and the group is also ABC. This is the group of them. Now let me put one, let's say, text in this file. So echo hello, and I'm just putting it into, let's say, abc.txt. I put it here. If I do cat on abc.txt now, you can see hello command. Fairly simple operation. Alright. Now if I clear it. So if I switch to again to what? Okay, so let me check the path also. So this is the path. If I exit from here, I exited. Now who am I? Sorry. WHOAM. Am I? Who am I? This is this user. This user. So now from this user, if I try to do cat etc on which, that is not etc, cat on home, then abc user, then abc.txt, what is showing? Permission denied. But if I do the same operation from root account, here I have the root user, I'm logged into root. If I do the same thing, I can read the file. So that means the scenario is something right now. It is something very interesting scenario. That is, you have, let's say, ABC user, and it created one file called abc.txt. You have, let's say, RMIDYA user. You want this user to read this file. But you don't want this user to take the privilege of root. You don't want that. Root has all the privileges. Root can go to any directory, can read any of the file, doesn't matter. But you don't want to take the privilege of root, because I told you give limited power. You want, because this file is created by this user, or let's say this file can be owned by this user. So you want that this user will take the privilege of this user. Alright. So in that case, how you can do that? So before that, I want to show you one more command that is very much helpful. There is one command called id, you all know. When I'm writing id, it is showing that root. If I type sudo id, it will tell me using which power you are running this id command. You see, 0. Similarly, if you go to Midya, and here if I just, let me also do one thing quickly just for this demo. I will edit this file, and here I'm just writing, let's say, all, just for now, so that I can show you the id thing. I did it. Now if I go here and if I run, let's say id command, you can see id is 1234, but if I run sudo id, you can see it is asking the password. Password is what? This is the password, and it is showing that you are using the root power. Pretty good, pretty sounds pretty good. So in that case, we can easily read this file using sudo. Definitely, you know this. Like if you are using root power, then running this thing with the sudo, you can very easily do. And like it will definitely. Or let's say what happened? Why my terminal freezed? What? Terminal freezed somehow. Yeah, so here it is working. So let me open new window, view, let me zoom in, again zoom in, and here let me just switch to RMIDY, and let's say I will go to bash shell, I will do cd, and we are good to go. So here if I just quickly run sudo, then cat on the file that is on my home abc folder, and then abc.txt, you can easily read it. If I give the password, I can easily read it. You can see, you can read it. And also one more thing, that is sudo will ask you for the password for one time. Like in this session, in this terminal, as soon as you give the password for sudo, so sudo will not ask you the password for again. But if you open another session, there it will ask you. So like if I again try to read, so like you can read it. So that thing you know. But which power you are using? You are using root power. But I don't want you to use the root power. I want you to use the ABC power to read this file. So in that case, you are taking the privilege of ABC user. So here, this is actually called privilege escalation. So you are taking the privilege of some other user. When we are talking about the root power, that is called root privileges. But when you are talking about privileges escalation, don't think that only we can do with root. We can take the power of any of the user. So how we can do? Again, same thing. So we can do on the sudo. So I will go here, I will open this file. I will go to insert mode, and in the insert mode, I will type here ABC. Save this file. I saved it. Now if I go here and if I type sudo id, okay, so maybe most probably I need to check one more thing. Maybe this is all, and this should be the username, most probably. Let me check. So if I run sudo id as root on localhost, it's not allowed to execute bin id as root on localhost local domain. Why it is showing me this? I think there is one more concept actually. Let me quickly check the help. I think you can give the username also. So yeah, run command as specific username. So -u. So let me check. Sudo -u as abc. I want to run abc in the id command. Yeah. Now you can see I am running from Midya. So if I run who am I? This is my user account. But I run the id command using what user? This abc user. So id command. That means now if I try to read the file, I will do the same operation. But here, if I try to read this file, definitely it will not allow me because I don't have the root power. I restricted it to what? ABC user. Here you already know I restricted it to ABC user. That means now it will allow me only to run this thing with the user. So -u, not in cat actually. So don't put after cat because then cat will think as its own argument. So here give the ABC. So sudo, I am providing you one argument, that is user. Change your user to abc and then read this file. You can read the file. So this is the concept of privilege escalation. Privileges escalation, you are taking the privilege of some other user. Why? Because other users granted it. If this you, I mean, actually root have to do all the stuffs here, so even this user cannot do this part. All right, so in that case this file is helping. Now here we have another actually interesting concept. All right, another concept I want to show you. So let me check, let me, I mean, allow all, and here if I type no pass wd then one colon. So remember this symbol, and if I do escape then colon wq, and then here I press exclamation, I press enter. So it now might look like that why I give this no pass wdo. Simple reason is, if I cross this terminal, if I again open another new window, and if I increase the not view, I don't know, zoom in, why, oh man. Okay, so let me cross, let me switch to this, and then let me open another terminal. So file, new window. Okay, let me work on this window. I don't know why. I think maybe I here I, okay, so I remove this full screen. Okay, so now here if I go zoom in, and now if I type here one thing, that is like, let's say I'm switching to midya. I switched here, and I mean, it is opening the cell. Why? Because maybe I don't write the bash. I got it why it is doing this thing. Let me quickly change that. So let's see, then pass wd file. So in this file most probably I wrote sh here. So let me check for the, for arm the user, the cell is sh. So that's why it is opening sh cell. Nothing, just change it to bash. Rather than sh cell, we can just change it to bash. Now whenever we are going to log in with that user, so like if I do exit, and if I again do this, now you can see it is using the bash user. So nothing interesting here. Now here I want to show you one demo, that is if I do sudo in, and if I want to do, let's say yum install, or let's say even id also, you can see id come, it haven't asked me for any password for this user. So this is little bit dangerous in a sense, because maybe your laptop is there on a sitting desk, you went into coffee break and someone come and type something using sudo power. So this is a little bit dangerous, but when you will go to automation frameworks, let's say Ansible, in that case you need this thing. You need to give Ansible this power, that whenever Ansible will come and log in, because sudo need another login actually. So sudo has a different kind of login. So let me quickly quit and let me open that file, sudo ers. Here if I remove this thing, here I just remove this thing. If I do control wq and then exclamation, I remove this thing, and here if I go now, if I go here, so you can see sudo id, you can see password for Midya. Because I told you, you are on this terminal. If you don't give the password for sudo, then it will not work. So I need to give the password, and then it will work. All right. So remember this thing, whenever you will go to automation frameworks, you need this idea that you have to give here no pass wd, so that even also using the automation framework also you can send the, what do you call, like the password of sudo. And one more thing, this space don't give, then it will actually, I think it will fail actually. So if you give this, so syntax wise I think it is wrong syntax. So let me check. Okay, so no, this syntax is completely fine. So that's the thing. If I again just close this terminal, and if I just go to, just to quickly show you one more time for your clarity, zoom in. So if I run, let's say su, then I went here, I do cd, and then I will do sudo id. So it is showing me the id. Alright, it is not asking me for any of the passwords. So this is the thing. So understand this syntax clearly. Now here I want to show you one of the very interesting thing, that is, if you see here, let me remove this part. Let me remove this because this part is done. Okay, I removed it. Now here if you see, there is what is showing, allow people in a group wheel to run all commands. So wheel is a group, and that's why we have the percentage symbol here. So percentage stands for groups. Now if you put any of the user into a specific group called wheel, they will have all these powers, and these powers are what powers? Pseudo powers. So that's why, okay, let me do this. If you know, let's say you have one of the user, let's say, now let me do with the abc user also. So I will switch to abc, I will give the password for this user, and now we are good to go. So now here, let's say I am on the abc user, and I want to know. So if I type id command, it is showing me that abc user belongs to the groups called abc, but I want abc user to be in the group of wheel. So how I can do? Very easy. So like user mod, you know this command, user mod, then adding the group. For adding the group, what do we do? I think most probably big Z. So let me quickly check. Yeah, groups. So new list to supplementary, groups. So G, new list of supplementary groups, and adding. All right. So here, let me check actually. So yeah, I believe that it will do the job. Big G. Append user, yeah, append user to supplementary groups. So small a, okay, force user as a new primary group. Okay, so small a can do the job. So let me check actually. So user mod, and I am doing small a, then wheel, and then on abc user. Why what happened? Did I did something wrong? So supplementary groups mentioned by G option. Okay, got it. So here, before append, you need to keep one hyphen big G. So now abc user is appended on the user group, wheel group. All right. So now if I run here the id command, you can see abc user has two groups. One is this, and another is system. Why it is not showing me? Strange actually. Okay, so I can do one thing quickly, that is I can do cat on etc and group I can do here, and I can check wheel. So let me check wheel actually. Here we have the wheel. Well, yeah, we will have the abc user. I can see here. So wheel group has the abc user. So I believe it is done. So maybe some of the commands I can do here and there. That's my mistake. But yeah. So now if I run sudo id, it is asking me for the password. First time it always asks you for the password. So what is showing? abc is not in the sudo ers file. This incident will be reported. It is showing me this. But if I run the sudo id with the group, so for that I believe they have the some option hyphen help. Let me check the option. Actually, I don't want to remember these things. Like, why to remember when you have this kind of good run command with a specific group and id? You can see -g is the option. So just learn in this way. You don't need to like remember anything. Just understand the concept and do your job. Password for abc. Abc is not in the sudo as file, but this should be in the wheel group. So wheel has the power of, maybe if I need to check here. Let me do one thing quickly, that is check this file, because sudo ers file should have let me check one thing also. Sudo -g wheel. Yeah, I'm running the command. Wheel is there actually. People in group wheel to run all commands. Allow people in group wheel to run all the commands. WSWL. So like it should work, but okay. If it is not working, there might be some challenges, or maybe I can run, let's say, yum install httpd. abc is not in the sudo ers file, but how this is even possible? Because this is there actually. In wheel group, I added it into the wheel group. So nothing to worry, because like there might be some of the commands I haven't properly type here. But yeah, this wheel is there. You can just pretty easily google it. Definitely you can just quickly search how to add user to wheel group, and like you can see that those things. But it should work. I don't know, maybe I made some of the mistakes maybe. So let me check that file again, the group file. So cat etc group. So in this file it is there actually. I don't know. So wheel is there, abc is there. Abc user is definitely on the wheel group. And if you want to run any sudo command with the power of a group, let me do one more thing. Let me quickly check passwd abc user. I have to check actually. So that's the thing right now. The situation is like I also need to check why it is not behaving, but it should work. Hyphen user run command as a specific username or id. Run command as the specific group name or id. Definitely as a specific group name we are running the command. But why it is not allowing us to do that? Is there any special thing that we need to check? Okay, that's fine. I can tell you the answer into tomorrow's class. I just also need to see why it is not happening. Or yeah, so -g for group, definitely sudo -g wheel, then id command, install httpd. Okay, so let's go to the next discussion rather than wasting the time. So I told you I'm not going to discuss too much deep in this, because like it will be longer discussion if we talk about sudo for a long time. But I believe you understood the idea. Now, what is the difference between root and general user? I tried to show you what is the difference between general user and root user. That is, general user has limited powers. Whatever power you want to give them, they can do that. But root has all the powers. Like it will come again from the experience. Like whenever you will face some challenges, you will understand what are the limitations of general user. One of the power I showed you, that if abc user created one file, that is the thing we did just now. That is, if abc user here, so abc user created this file abc.txt. So this user cannot read this file. This user cannot read. That's why it needs the sudo power. All right. So that is the thing actually. So every user has their own limitations. whenever you will see permission denied, that means definitely there are limitations. And as soon as you see permission denied, you will just do a Google search and you will understand why permission denied come on. But that is how you will learn actually. So this difference you will automatically learn. I don't want to tell you what are the difference, because like I have to show you each and everything. If I tell you that root user can, let's say, start the services, why root user can start the services, why general user cannot start the services, it is not because like systemctl command cannot be run by these users. You can also run the systemctl command by these users. But why it is happening behind the scene, that will be longer discussion, deep discussion that will. But I want to tell you one more thing here. That's a small top discussion in the users. All right. So switching users. Understand one thing. Whenever you go from root to general user, you don't need any password. Password is not needed. But whenever you do vice versa, you need the password. This is the first thing. Second thing, general user to general user, you again need the password. You do back, you again need the password. But understand one thing here clearly. I am talking about su command. Whenever you are running the su command, that means this thing, let's say you are on the abc user, you want to go to arminda user, surmidya, it is asking for the password. I give the password, it switched. So you might be saying that from here to here it asked me for password. If I go vice versa, su abc, again it is asking me for the password. But understand one thing, that whenever you are going like this, surmidya, it asking you for password. I give the password. But if you do the exit, that doesn't mean you are switching the user. Exit means you are just logging out. You log in, you log out from this user. Whenever you log out from this user, that means you will land to this user, because this is the user where you were logged in. So this is just like a stack. All right. So like you have this, let's say abc user, on top of you do, let's say midya, let's say you log in here. As soon as you log out from here, you will land to this user. That's the thing. So as soon as you exit, you land to abc user. So it might look like that from here to here I need the password, but when I'm going backward, why I don't need any password? No. Whenever you are running su, in that case, whenever you are going this direction or this direction, you always need the password. But from root, whenever you go to general user, you don't need any password, because I told you root has all the powers. So if you go to here, let's say this is where I'm logged into root. You can see I'm logged into root. If I do su, then let's say I'm logged in. I don't need any password. All right. But if I do exit, if I go here, from here I want to go to root, su root, I need to provide the password. All right. Now, one thing I want to tell you, this is very confusing thing for lot of people actually. Why I'm saying it is confusing thing? Because a lot of people don't know this. I mean, lot of people think that su and su hyphen is same thing, but it is not. So su has a different meaning, su hyphen has a different meaning. What su do? It actually switch the user, but don't switch the workspace. If you talk about this, it switch, maybe my spelling is wrong, switch, switch the workspace entirely. Understand this thing very clearly, because this will help you in longer run. Here, let me just do Control C. If I do SU, then let's say, let me clear the actually. Let me do the, let me do this thing. Control, yeah. So if I do SURMIDYA, what this thing means? This thing means you are just switching the user. You are not switching the workspace. What is the meaning of it? Means each and every user has their own workspace where there are a lot of things actually they have. One of the thing is, if I run pwd, you can see I am on the home folder and on the ABC folder. But when I will logged into Midya account, it will have its own workspace. That will be home/RMIDY. Similarly, let's say another thing. Let's say another is echo, then $path. So this is the path, you can see this path. So this path you can see here if you notice. So let me actually close this session, because there is a reason why I am closing this session. I want to show you something. So if I just quickly switch to, let's say, ABC. So if I do echo, then if I do $, if I do path, you can see here what it's showing, that this user ABC has one path. So path is like where you store your, files actually. So like program files actually. Let's say one of the path is called /home ABC, then /bin. That means whatever command you will store in this folder, this will be accessible by this user, ABC user. Similarly, you have /usr local bin, /usr/bin. So this path is there. That's why you are able to run the cat command. Let me do the Control C. You can run the cal command. So I will show you this thing in the shell scripting class, that what are these things actually. But understand this thing, that here you have this usr bin folder and path know this folder. That's why you can run this cal command. Otherwise you need to run /bin. You need to run like this, /usr/bin, then okay, so like cat. So there is one of the, let's say cal you have, so cal. So otherwise you need to run in this fashion. All right. So if you talk about SU, whenever you are doing, let's say SURMIDY, as soon as you do this, it is actually just switching the user. It is not switching the workspace. That means whenever I do this, I give the password. What happened? If I do again the pwd, you can see I am on the same workspace of ABC user, but my user account is now on Arvind. If I do echo on $path, you can see here that it is showing me that you can access the Arvind, but you can also access the ABC. You can also access the ABCB. So that means whatever the, this is something, this is called, I can say, temporary kind of switching. So you just switch the user temporarily. All right. Now you can see it is showing you that you can pick the softwares from this folder, and this folder belongs to whom? ABC user. So ABC user might have installed Python 3.6. You can just access it. All right. So this is the meaning of SU, this thing. But if I do exit from here, I will run again that $, or let's say pwd command. If I run pwd, I am on here. If I run that same command, echo path, you can see I am on my home ABC. So this is the path it is pointing to. But here, if I give this kind of thing, su, then one hyphen, then hyphen. As soon as I do this, I will give my password. Now, if I do the pwd, you can see I switched my workspace. Entire workspace is switched. Similarly, another thing it switched. What it switched? It switched this also. If I do now echo, then dollar and path. If I run this, now you can see there is none of the path that is look like this. Previous time also I did echo path. That time it was showing you can access the softwares from home ABC folder. But this time you cannot access. Look here. So these are different actually concepts of like switching user, switching the spaces. And you can go very deep into this. Learn lot of things. But just for very simple perspective, understand this clearly that how this switching is happening. Similarly, if I want to do exit, I can do. If I do exit, it will close the terminal. Okay, so I am on my root. So I am on the root. Now let's say I go to, let's say RMIDYA. Now here I want to tell you one more very interesting thing. All right. So let's say I am on my this account. So like it haven't actually switched the workspace. So that's the interesting. If I do the pwd, you can see I'm on the /root still. If I try to do ls, you can see permission denied because I cannot list the directory because I don't have entry in the sudo ers file for this user. So let me quickly do one sudo ers entry /etc /sudo ers, and then here I will do like let's say RMIDYA and then all equals to, let me give all and let me give no pass wd colon and then again all, just to make sure that it don't ask me for the password. I give it. Now if I here do ls, you can see it can list it. Why it is not listing? Strange. Okay, so obviously I need to give sudo ls. Definitely. Yeah, it can list everything. Alright. So now here I want what thing I want to show you. Or let me switch my space also. Like if I do echo also, echo $path also, you will see right now it is pointing to home or with the bin also, but it is also pointing to root also. Sergi /root/bin. It is pointing to both, but I want only to point it to Arvind. So I will just exit from here. I am on my root. I will just switch my user to this with one hyphen symbol here. Alright, so I am here. Now if I do like echo $path, you can see there is nothing for root. There is no entry for root this time. And that means now I am on my workspace. If I run pwd. Now here there is one command called sudo. Sudo or I think su. Yeah. And just let me actually check here. So this is also one interesting concept actually. Let me show you this concept actually. So let's say I am on my this account. So who am I? I am on my this account. Now from here, if I run sudo su, all right, I'm running sudo su. You notice one thing, that it haven't asked me for any password, and right now I am on my root. But this root, actually why am I able to do this? Because I have the sudo power. And one thing to note that I haven't switched my space. So this is temporary kind of root access. I haven't switched my space. I haven't switched anything. So if I run echo $path, you can see it is pointing to only these things, these folders. This is temporary kind of switching. But if I do exit, and if you want to do the full switching, so here you can give once this symbol, sudo su this symbol. Now you are on the root account. You used the power of sudo to switch to root without giving the password of root. You haven't given the password of root, but you are on the root account. And now you have dollar what that is path. You can see root bin. That means it switched the workspace. So why this is possible? Because if you just remove this entry from here, if you remove this from, sorry, escape dd colon. If I remove this entry from here, now if I go here, let me exit from here, and I am on my this account. Now if I try to do su hyphen, it is asking me for the password. So this is one of the great access actually you have for with sudo. So when you combine this with sudo, this becomes very easy for you to gain the access of root. So password for Armida, it is asking me for the password. So if I even give the password for Armida, it will see no entry on the sudo ERS file. So as soon as I give here the power here, so already at oldest change. Okay, so let me do this. Control YY for copy and 1P for paste. Then here I will just change it to RMIDYA. Randomly you cannot do that. You can do this. Now here if I do same thing, sudo su hyphen, it is asking me for the password. Definitely it will ask me for the password of Armida, not your root account password. It is not asking me for the root account password. You see, from Armida account, I switched to root account by giving the password of this. I haven't given the password of root. But if you did the same thing again without sudo, then you need to give the password. And this password you cannot give the password of Armida. You need to give the password of your root account. But most of the time you will see root account password we don't know. So that's why we did what we did. Normally we did this kind of operation. So this was the whole discussion for today's session. I believe I discussed a lot of things actually. And don't worry, tomorrow also we have the session. On the next week also we will have the session. We will wrap up everything within this week and next week. And yeah, just let's see how this thing actually goes. If you have some more things to discuss, just tell me. Do let me know. I will definitely share with you. And I believe our community is slowly trying to provide as much as we can. Like we are sharing as much, like we talked about Docker, we discussed about Docker. I believe you all attended. Even like I am discussing the Linux. I know I mean due to my own some of the reasons, it was tough for me to continue, but now I am okay. So we can continue. We discussed on Terraform, even we discussed on Ansible also. And then right now we are discussing on the networking. So definitely go check out these things, learn these things. There is no harm in learning. And share your views actually. Reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn anytime you want if you have any questions. And yeah, that's all I believe for today's session. So on the next session we will talk about whatever we have in the planning. So processes and performance monitoring and tuning. So that's all. Let's see you on the next session everybody. And yeah, let me check the Q&A right now. If there is any kind of questions I need to answer. So if there is any questions, if you have, you can ask me. Otherwise we will wrap up the session. All right. So see you all on the next day. And I know I took 1.5 hour session. I don't know, maybe my, what do you call, behavior, or like, this is how I work. This is how I share as much as possible. So yeah, see you on the next day. Bye bye everybody.